I name the class by today's date, followed by Revit Fundamentals. And if you go to the YouTube channel, that's the way it's going to show up. Here we go. I'm going to move this away here. All right, let's see what we have for today. We are on class number 2. We're just going to talk about some of the view controls, selection controls, project browser. We're going to spend most of the time just understanding the Revit specific taxonomy, commands, organization, user interface, navigation, buttons, selection controls, etc. I hope that by now everybody has Revit 2023 installed in your workstation. Is anybody does not have the software? Okay, that means that everybody got it right. Okay, and hopefully you also have your second monitor. It's going to help a lot with the instruction. You can work either from your office or from home. It'll be hard to do this when you're driving, right? So, all right. And in the event you cannot attend the class, it's okay. Just let me know. And you can always catch up by watching the recording. We don't have any data set for today. We're going to use the data set that ships out of Revit. I'm going to be jumping between Revit 2023 and Revit 2024. This class is in Revit 2023, but I'm going to give you some tips of what's new or what has changed in 2024 as needed, so that you are also aware of that. So this is, go ahead and launch Revit. And you can launch Revit using the Windows button and search for Revit in your drop-down list. Or just in the desktop of your workstation, double-click the icon of Revit. It's important you open the right version of Revit. The data sets I'm going to be giving you are in Revit 2023. That means that if you have Revit 2022, it's not going to work because you cannot open. You can open older versions of Revit into the current versions, but you cannot open newer versions into older versions. And what that means is a file in Revit 2024 cannot be opened or cannot be saved down in 2023 or 2022. And this is important in the context of projects. Once a project has decided to start in Revit, everyone in the organization and the consultant stakeholders need to stay in the same version throughout the life cycle of the project. If the project is going to span multiple years, it's okay to upgrade to the next version, but it needs to be an orchestrated effort or organized and managed by the BIM managers across all the different organizations. Make sure you make your backups from the older version and then upgrade as needed. This is true, for example, for airport projects that last 3-4 years or more in the making. And at some point they decide to upgrade the files, then that's not uncommon, but it needs to be something that everyone agrees to, and is not cannot be a unilateral decision. Like in the middle of a project, you cannot decide to upgrade because then you're going to mess your work. You will be unable to share your work with the consultants. All right, so this is the welcome screen, and it's divided in several parts. On the left panel, on the upper left, you're going to see a little R and a little icon that disable the visibility of the homepage. And the homepage, really what it is an HTML file. It's like a web page embedded in the software. And you keep track of the recent files. So you keep track of the last 10 projects work by you, these thumbnails are very different from the ones you have on your screen. Because I have worked in other projects and you have worked in other projects. So probably you have a different set of models here. Then we have another panel that displays the last 10 pieces of custom content that you have created. That's the last 10 pieces of families. And a family, it's a collection of objects that share the same properties, the same physical representation, and the same behaviors. Family is a loadable component that it's brought into the project, and it represents a geometrical piece of information with data and parameters that can be reported and scheduled. I'm going to talk more about families soon. Then again, in the upper left side, these are ways to enable or disable the homepage. And if you disable the homepage, then you have access to a preview of the Revit toolbar, the ribbon. Let me enable my Summit. Yeah, so this enables the visibility of the ribbon. Then in the ribbon, we have 3 different parts. This over here, this set of tools are called the quick access bar. So when you hear me go to the quick access bar, you know it's the upper left menu. Then we have over here, these are the, this all relates to ways to communicate with Autodesk. So here you have your username, the App Store, the help files. So we call this the communication bar. So here's where you can open the help files. A few years ago, Revit transitioned to subscription models, meaning that it no longer sells standalone or permanent licenses. And subscriptions are name-based, and what that means is that there is a seat assigned to your user, and in order to work in any other of the products, you need to pay, your license needs to be verified online using these sign-in button. So this is always going to display your name, and it's a verification method that the license is correct. If this is sign out, it's not going to work in the latest versions of Revit. If I sign out, it won't, the software will not run anymore. Okay, I'm going to switch back to Revit here.
Cesar,
yeah.
I had a question. How do you get your communication bar to show up?
You don't see anything in the upper right side?
Well, maybe it's not the communication bar. It's the if you go back to the
this.
Yeah, the build, circulation, model, room, and area, whatever those subcategories don't show up. I mean, I see all the categories, but they're not clustered. No, below.
Is it in this screen or in the other?
It was in the screen where you were.
Uh-huh. Here?
So like the word below. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Good question. This is going to happen to a lot of you. So the ribbon has 3 portions. This is the tab name. And then you have the panel name. Panel is a collection of tools. For example, this is the circulation panel. And then each of these icons is a tool, right? This is a tool. And so the tab, the panels, and the tools have a custom way of this be displayed on the screen. And you can cycle the display of these 3 elements using this tiny button. And it's very tiny, and it's very easy to click it and you don't know it. So this little oval with an arrow pointing up change the display of your ribbon from full display to minimize to just the panel name, and then completely disappears. So when you click again, it just keeps cycling. And so what might have happened, Ruth, is that you might have clicked this by mistake, thinking that is the help file, and it probably compressed the display of the ribbon. Oh, but all you need to do is click again, click again, click again.
It's not. I just don't have the panel names as an option. It says minimize to tabs, minimize to panel titles, minimize to panel buttons, but it doesn't show me the panel groupings.
That's odd. It's if you have the panel buttons, no, the cycle through all, and just click on it. In this drop-down list, click cycle through all. And then, do you see this option?
Yeah.
And then click again on the little arrow until you see the full display.
It's not letting me do that, but it's got everything. I have all the options except for those words: build, circulation, model, room and area.
That's odd. Do this. Can you close Revit and open it? And by the way, to close Revit, everyone, you just click the upper right side. And then you can relaunch it again.
Just open it again.
Yeah, close it and open it.
Okay.
It sounds like it's might be a graphic card thing. And Ruth, do you have a 4K screen by chance?
I don't know.
I mean, it is a super high resolution for like rendering and stuff.
I don't know if it's super high. It's decent.
Okay. Sometimes when we have super high resolution screens, the Revit user interface behave unexpectedly. Let me know if that works.
Okay, don't worry. I don't want to. I don't want to slow you down. I just think it's weird.
Yeah. Okay. This is we're still in the welcome screen, and if you hit the R, if you see the left side of your screen, these are ways to create new projects, and these are ways to create new families. And you can when you create a new model or a family from scratch, you will be presented by the templates. Just hit the, I'm not going to create one now, but just hit the open button. And here, this is a way to navigate through your documents, and notice that Revit is looking for files with the extension RVT, which are Revit files. RFA are Revit families. .adsk, those are Revit material libraries, and RTE is Revit templates. So notice also that you have an ability to audit a file, and you also have a way to create new local files or central files. I'm not going to do this for now, so I'm just click cancel here. I'm going to, then the next button is create a new model. And when you receive a new model, you're presented with a list of the available templates. And when you hit this drop-down list, this is the list of all the templates that Revit is reading from your workstation. Do you have at least the Imperial architectural template there? Or I guess the question is anybody here not using the Imperial architecture or don't see the Imperial architecture list here?
Is Imperial multidiscipline the same?
No, it's different.
Hmm. Then I'm not sure that I have that.
Okay, we'll fix that. And Lindsay, I see your question here. You are in 2024. You could work in 24, but the data sets are in 2023. So you will be presented with the upgrade dialog box every time you open the files. If you're okay with that, you can continue using it. If it's a little annoying to be upgrading the files every time, and what that means is that you may have to maybe open the files early enough so that you have enough time to upgrade. The files are not super big, but you can work. The other thing is if I need to share some information with the rest of the class, like a new data set or something, you'll have to upgrade that yourself. I'm not going to be able to upgrade that for you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into what that means, but I'll probably see how this goes on 24. Thanks.
Okay, so let's open a new project using the Imperial architectural template. And I'm going to show you, Lindsay, how remap templates. So we create a new project using the architectural template. And that's going to create a new project, a blank project. There's nothing in this project. And so I'm curious, Ruth, if you are able to do this and if you see the panels now, by chance.
I don't see the panels, but I am on the same file.
So the only thing you're not seeing is the things.
Yeah, which is usually, it's pretty helpful to me. So I miss that.
It's so strange. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm going to put a note here to research what to do.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So a few things to know. We created a new project. The project is blank. It utilizes a predefined template. A template, it's a project that is pre-filled with different views, floor type, content, schedules that helps you get started in the development of a project. Different firms have different templates. I'm sure like Page Turnbull has a dedicated template that they use to get started a project. And it comes with a preloaded title block, preloaded typical sheets and typical details that are part of typical type of product delivery that the firm does. And that's the goal of a template, to give you as much content predefined in the template so that you can go fast in assembling the set of documentation. You don't want to redo over and over the same things over and over. And so one of the first tasks for firms is to develop a robust template. Now let's look at some of the settings to understand how templates are mapped and make available inside Revit. So if you go to the File tab, these are the tabs. the File tab, you're going to see this window drop down pop up. These have ways of creating, again, new projects, open new projects. This is how you save. There are different ways of saving. You can go File, Save. You can also do it using this diskette icon that we used to use back in the 80s. Or you can use the shortcut, which is Control S. Also, under the File tab, you're going to see this is the list of all the projects you work. I think it's a list of 20 different projects. And if you're going to be continue working in the same project over and over for 2-3 months, and you don't want it to disappear from this, because this is a historical list of projects. So if you want that project to always be listed here, you can click this push pin. And what that means is that that file is always going to show as an option in this list. And it's like a shortcut to get very fast to the projects you're working on. And this could be projects that are on the local network or in the cloud. Let's go to this button here that's called the options. The options. Again, the way to get there, just hover, click on the File tab and hit the options. We're going to launch Revit 2024 because I want to show you some of the changes that have happened in the past. Okay, in the options, these are ways to configure your workstation on different levels. You have several options: user interface, graphics, hardware, etc. The one that I want you to look at is the one that says file location. And the file location, the first tabular table that you see here, this is the list of all the different templates that ships with that you have access to. And so the out-of-the-box templates, which are the ones that we're going to use in this class, are stored in a folder called C, Program Data, Autodesk, Revit 2023 templates. And these templates should be available to you guys. So if you're missing any template like this, the first thing to do is to check if the template it's already there. So I'm going to see if I can copy this. Control C. Control V. No, I need to actually add it. So,
excuse me, Caesar, this is Urmila. How did you get to these options? I missed a step.
how to get to the options? You go
Yeah,
to the,
sorry, I kind of.
you go to the File tab. And
Okay.
then hit the options.
Oh, okay, it's there. Thank you.
Yeah. And then you click on the file locations. And this table right here is the project templates. These are usually connected to if you're in a firm that has templates, this is connected to your local server. But the out-of-the-box that comes with the user are here. You can navigate to this path. I was trying to get to here. Oh, here, I think I can do this. Yeah, so it's under C, Program Data, Autodesk, Revit 2023, Template, English Imperial. And if you were missing, like Lindsay was missing some of the templates, again, the path is you go to C drive, Program Data. Autodesk Revit 20, not the server, Revit RVT 2023 templates. And these are all the different templates. English Imperial is the one we use. Here I can copy it. I'm going to paste this on the chat panel for those who wants to just copy it. That's where the path of the templates are. Is anybody, and Lindsay, let me know if you were able to connect to these templates.
Yeah, sorry, which one am I looking for now?
The architectural, the default is the default architectural.
Oh, okay, so that's the one I want to load.
Yeah.
Let me try that.
Yeah. There are templates for like typical construction, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, residential, structural systems. These are the out-of-the-box templates. Starting in Revit 2023, Autodesk stopped distributing a lot of localized content, because we were forcing our users to install a lot of content that they were never going to use. I'm going to show you where that is right now. So in the event, for example, that you don't have the sample files, or you don't have the right content for Revit 2023, this is where the localized content is. So this is Chinese, generic, English, Spanish, Korean, and this is where the information is going to get stored. In the US, the one we need is the one that says US English content 2023. You double click this executable. It will download to your workstation, and you just double click it, and it's going to install the family templates and the family content. And so this is important because the content we're going to use all the time. So I also in the chat panel share with you guys a path for this website. We're going to check if you have the right content, and if you don't have it, go to this path, download the executable, and it's going to install this content for you. Then there's also all this international English, localized English content for Revit LT as well, Singapore, etc. Okay, so this is the way to connect to different templates. For example, I don't have the residential template here. So I'm going to navigate to that path, program data, Autodesk, RVT 2023 templates. And by the way, the program data folder is hidden by Windows. I guess Windows doesn't want the users to access that folder. So to display the hidden folders on your C drive, you have to enable the visibility of hidden views, hidden folders. Let me see where it is. So if you go to view, this is the window explorer. So if you go into view and disable this check, enable this check what says hidden items, then you will be able to see the program data. Let's see. Program data folder. It's a system folder, and I guess Windows doesn't want users to mess with those, but you can enable it. Okay, so I'm going to add, let's say, the system mechanical template we have preloaded with sheets and views that are relevant for an engineer. And then that new template is added to my list of templates here. You see, I have Imperial System template. So we're going to be using the default template, the architectural, which is the architectural one, and that's the one that matters for me. So make sure that you have the default template is going to be loaded as the Imperial architectural template. So we're going to use it a lot in this class. And just curious, Lindsay, were you able to find it?
Yep, I'm good.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, the other things, this is just for your knowledge. This is the default path for the family template files. Double check that you have this path: program data, Autodesk, Revit 2023, family templates. These are the templates to create fresh new content. I'm also going to share it with you in the chat panel in case anybody's missing it. So it should be under the C, program data, Revit, Autodesk, RVT 2023, libraries, English Imperial. This is the path to the out-of-the-box family template. And do me a favor and navigate to this folder on your Windows workstation. You can just copy and paste the path that I shared with you on the chat panel. Because if you don't have any folder here, that means that your installation of Revit failed to install the library of content. And if this is empty, you will have to run the website that you have to download the executable associated with the US English content and run it. And that's going to unpack all the folders and place of content and gonna place it in this folder. So again, this is just troubleshooting for those who do not have the family content and the family templates.
Can you go back to where we're supposed to find it on the C drive? It's Windows what?
I put it on the chat panel. It's C, program data, Autodesk, RVT 2023, libraries, English Imperial. And the template, this is for the content. And for the family templates, you go to Revit 2023 templates, English Imperial. So I'm going to post this again here. These are family templates. The family templates these are the templates to get started a fresh piece of content. And then in Revit, when you say here default path for family template, that's the folder you want to point to. The program data RVT 2023 family template. And what I was saying is that if this family template is empty, you have to run the executable in the website that I shared with you in the chat panel.
So, Caesar, I didn't have any of the templates, so I'm just downloading it and installing. So do I have to restart my computer, everything?
I don't think it will ask you once it's finished. Well,
okay.
Well, let me know. I don't know if it will ask you to restart, but it's okay. Just restart. And today we're not going to do like a lot of serious work.
Okay.
But this was important.
Thanks.
Yeah. So in addition to, was that Urmila?
Yes, that was me.
Okay.
It's like I didn't have any of the templates or families downloaded.
Yeah. So if anybody else is missing the templates, go ahead and do this right now, because this is going to help a lot of troubles down the class. go ahead in Windows and check for the templates, and also check for the libraries. And I share the two paths in the chat panel. And if you're missing this, open the website I put there, download the executable, and unpack these folders.
And the website's the last one?
No, the website is the only HTTP.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any of this either.
Okay, so you have to do that.
Yeah.
Go to the HTTP.
Yeah.
Then it's going to look for the US content.
English, and then just click on it.
Click on the executable. It's going to download. You may get a warning that this is this safe to do? Yes, it's safe. And then just run it, and it's going to unpack it for you.
And it knows where to go.
Yes.
Okay. And that gets the templates. That gets everything.
Gets the templates and gets the family content. Yes.
Okay, great.
How about the rest of the class? Are you guys seeing the content other than Ruth and Urmila? Okay, I see some thumbnails.
Downloading, I was able to see the templates, but not the libraries. So I'm downloading the libraries.
Awesome.
Same here. I'm just downloading the libraries.
Okay, I'll give you time. So it's the libraries is a big, because it's all the families that are out of the box. So it's going to take several minutes to download, but that's okay. I'm gonna just let it download, and when it finishes, double click it and it'll unpack it for you. In the meantime, I'm going to start. Those are the two important things in this that I wanted to check: the access to the templates, the path to the template, family templates. And then while it finished downloading for you, I'm going to discuss the parts of the user interface. So this is a Revit user interface. Again, something I say earlier is that this is the quick access bar. These are the most frequently used commands. And this includes things like save, open, print, and then the most important ones, undo. So if you make a mistake, and we are going to make mistakes, that's what this class is for, is to make mistakes. This is the way to undo, and this is the way to redo. The upper left side, undo, redo. You can also use Control-Z and Control-D. Then this is the measure tool to measure distances, the dimension tool. We're going to go more about that. Then the other one, this is the communication bar that I was telling you earlier. And here, the important part is probably the help file. The help file, if you click that question mark, it's a nicely technical document that helps you understand a lot of the commands in Revit, including what's new in every version, ways to get started. There are some tutorials, these are very basic tutorials, but it's just enough to get you started. There are beginner workflows for architecture, how to start a project, build a model, collaborate with others, document. But I am going to cover this with you. But it also has workflow for MEP. There are some courses, beginner courses available here for very specific topics. Some of these courses is my voice, so don't worry. But help files help you navigate Revit, all the commands. You can just search something if you don't know anything. For example, how to create a wall, how to create a compound wall, and then it tells you and explain everything about that. It's a good reference book, I would call it, because it has everything. Everything I talk is here in a technical manner. You can also access the help file using the F1 key. And it's all web-based. So long are the days where you would receive a big book from Autodesk. For those who are old enough to remember, when you buy AutoCAD, it came with these big books. I used to have my shelf full of those books, and I just tossed them many years ago. Okay, let's back to Revit here. You may have a preference about the color of the user interface. So Revit also has the option of changing the graphics of the background color. So again, if you go to the options, go to the File tab and hit the options, and you hit the the graphics button, and you see the background by default is white. If you want to see this in black, that's your choice. For some people, black is the white color is too strong to the eye or to strain their eyes too much. But you can decide to work with a black background. Again, File tab, Options, and then go to the Graphics, Background. I'm going to leave it white. But what I do want to show you is that in Revit 2024, one of the new features is the dark theme. And so instead of having just the work view, the main work view in black, the entire user interface can be customized, can be changed to black. So in 2024, which you don't have, if you go to the options, File, Options, under colors, there is a user interface theme, and that changes to dark. Then you see how it looks like AutoCAD. This is more or less the AutoCAD colors. I like the dark theme, to be honest, and I find it easier on the eye. But this is only in 2024. You don't have that ability in 2023 yet. But it's pretty. I like it in black better. Okay, so it's your choice if you want to work with a black background. Okay, how is the download going? Checking there.
Yeah, it's done for me and it's working. I mean, I can see all the families now. So
Fantastic.
I didn't have to restart, luckily.
Awesome, awesome. And hopefully that was the case for the rest of you guys. All right.
It's still downloading for me.
Okay, it will take different speed depending on how fast your internet is. Let's continue discussing the user interface. So these guys here, this is called the main view and active view, excuse me. And the name of the active view, it's in this tab. And so the project browser is this window that you see in the lower left side. This is project browser. And the project browser displays all the views available in the project. It navigates in the project structure and allow you to see different parts of the building, including floor plans, ceilings, elevation, legends, sheets, families. Then the other window here is the property window. And this discloses the properties of the view if nothing is selected. And when you select an object in the 3D space, it will display the properties of that particular window, that particular project. The other portion of the user interface is this lower left corner. This is the view controls. These are ways to change and modify the content in the main view. So here you can change the scale. You can change, and these are the different scales. The scale is important, in particular when you're creating sections and details, to make sure that they fit in the right size in the sheet. You have the detail level that display different granular information about the families. You have the graphic display options and others that I'll talk in a minute. So again, these are ways to control everything that happened in this view is controlled by these guys. That's why it's called the view controls.
Okay, Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded the libraries and I'm getting a pop-up saying this app can't run on your PC. To find a version for your PC, check with the software publisher. Do you think this is a Windows 11 issue?
What version of Revit are you using?
23.
And you downloaded the content that's for 2023, right?
Yeah.
Not the 24.
Correct.
This is the 23 content pack.
Yep.
And then does the window doesn't have a little message that says continue anyway, or
no? It just oh wait, hold on. Okay.
Sometimes Windows try to block it, but there's a little drop in the lower corner that says continue anyway, or
no, hold on. I think I have an idea. I'm gonna check on it.
okay.
I'll get back to you in a couple minutes.
Okay. All right. So the other parts of the user interface are in the lower right side corner. These are called the selection controls. Selection controls. These are mechanisms to modify the extent of your selection in the screen. Like you can prevent users from selecting links, for example, or selecting pin objects, or selecting elements by face. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. The other part of the user interface is this over here, which is the navigation toolbar. And this is ways to zoom in, zoom out, preview, navigate different views in 3D. It does what the name suggests. It helps. These are ways to modify and change the view. Okay, and so to close a project, when you create a new project, Revit is going to here right at the center of this screen, you're going to see three pieces of information. First, you're going to see the version of Revit separated by a dash. Then you're going to see the name of the project separated by the dash. And then you're going to see the view name. So this is a very quick way to understand what version I'm working, what's the project, what's the view. I am in the floor plan level 1. Let me open another view. If I open level 2, for example, notice that now the name of the level, the full, it's displayed right here. And I have 2 tabs open. If I open the west elevation, I have the name of the view, and I have 3 tabs open. So every time you open a view, a new tab is added to the user interface. Okay, so notice also the number of tabs you have. I have architecture, ways to create architectural objects, structure, ways to create structural elements, beams, trusses, braces, foundations, connections. You probably don't have the steel bar. This is the steel extension for Revit. It's an optional user interface that helps you do more detailed work on the for steel on the structural side. You don't need it, but you can download it from the Autodesk account center. This is the precast is also an optional extension. This is useful for structural engineers. The system panels is for MEP tools. And then you probably don't have also the issues. Issues, it's a plugin for Revit created by Autodesk that creates a database of issues in the project so that multiple people can contribute to the creation and solution of problems that can be tracked, assigned, and resolved in a tabular format or controlled via Autodesk docs. I may talk about this when we talk about coordination. Point layout is also another product by Autodesk. This is ways to coordinate points in space that can be tracked via survey machine. The beam operativity tools is also by Revit. This is an extension of that it helps you like create quality control checks. SpaceMaker, it's a tool by Autodesk as well. I'm not going to talk about that, but there's a lot of extensions that I have installed in my machine that you don't have, so don't worry about that. And then there are portions of the user interface that you don't need. For example, what are the chances you use anything on the MEP side? So you can selectively switch off these tabs in the options and options as well. So click on the File tab and then hit the Options button. And then if you go to the user interface, there's a checkbox in this panel for every tab in the user interface. If I'm never going to use the system tabs, I can just disable it. The chances are that I'm never going to use a mechanical tool, an electrical tool, and a plumbing tool. So I'm just switching off those tabs. Maybe the structure, like the steel, I'm not going to use it in this class. I may use the beams and columns, so I'm just going to leave the structure on, but I don't need the steel, and the analytical structural I don't need either. That's it. So I'm going to switch off the things I don't need from the user interface, and then hit OK. And then I notice that my system tab is gone. But if I need it back, I can always go back to the options bar and enable it from the user interface. Enable it, and then my system tab is back here.
What was tooltip assistance?
Great. I was about to go into that. The tooltip assistance is the ability to display information about a tool when you just hover the pointer, the mouse pointer on top of it. And there are different levels of help. Minimal is only going to disclose the name of the tool. Normal is going to display the name in like a little paragraph of what the tool does. And high, it provides you visuals and links for additional information. So for example, I'm going to go to high here, tooltip assistance high. And I think this is useful for you guys, for new guys. If I go to the architectural tab and I hover over walls, you see this big window that says, this is the tool walls. It creates, this is how a wall is defined. And then there's this little animation of what a wall is. So that's what the full assistance tooltip does for you. If you think this is useful for you, by all means, switch it on. It provide you, at least as a beginner, it provides you a visual way to understand how the tool works, including these little animations. For me as an instructor, it's a little distracting, so I disable it, but it's up to you. I'm going to change this back to none. Actually, I'm going to just do the minimal. And when you do minimal, you see there's no image. It only tells you the name of the command and a little description of what it is, a single paragraph of what it does. All right. If you have two screens, the property windows and the project browser can be separated from the main user interface. All you need to do is hit the header of the window. What I have highlighted in red here, that is the window head. So if you click inside this window head and drag out, you can make the property window float on top of the UI, and same with the project browsers. And in the context of production, and you have two monitors, I like to keep my property windows and the project browsers. I like to keep them in my second screen so that I have a maximum real estate in the view. But it's a preference thing. And here's another frequently asked questions. What happened when I close the property window? How do I bring it back? And this takes me to the discussion of shortcuts in Revit. If you notice, Revit does not have a command bar like AutoCAD, meaning that it does have shortcuts, but they work on the fly, but you won't be able to see what is that you're typing. So the shortcut to bring the property windows, it's PP. It's very simple, PP or P1. P1, there you go. And you see the property window is back. If you lost the property window, just type P1 or PP. PP. Properties, PP. Same with the project browser. If you close the project browser by mistake, and sometimes that happens, out of the box, there's no shortcut, but you can bring it back via the right click button on the screen, browsers, project browser. Again, if you close the project browser and you want it back, right click on the view, browsers, project browsers. you want to bring the property windows, PP, and you have to memorize this because you're going to use it all the time. So I'm going to write it here. Properties, windows, it's the shortcut is PP, and the project browser, it's right click. And then you go to browsers, and then project browser. Yeah. Browsers, project browsers. And PP. Okay, then these windows, I mean, they can be left floating, but they can be stacked either to the right side of the user interface. You click on the head of the property window, stack it to the right, or you can stack it to the top. And the way this works is that, again, you need to click on the window head. This is the window head. And then drag it until it touches the edge of the view, and then stack it. To disable the stack condition, you just drag out. You can, some people like to leave, if you have a one monitor, some people like to have the property windows on the right and the project browsers on the left. Right, it's your choice. If you want to mirror what I have, I like to stack the property window, the project browser underneath the property window. So what I do here is I click on the property head, stack it to the left, and then to drop the project browser as a stack window on underneath the property windows. Again, you click on the browser head window. I guess is the opposite. I have to stack first the project browser. This is the project browser. And I click the property window, and then you see how, look at the mouse, what's doing. The mouse is just touching, very subtle. It's just a very subtle movement. It's touching like the window name of the property browser, and then you see that blue, bluish rectangle. That is the preview of the property window. And then I have one on top of another one. You can also display it as tabs, like a tab on top of another one. So if I grab the property window and I just drop it, you see that preview. It's going to make it stack right at the right next to it. There you go. So different ways of, you choose what works for you. In my class, I think I'm going to show it this way because it's the traditional way of working with it. But if you have two screens, you can move this project browser and the property on your other screen. Okay. How is the download going, Abney?
I got it. I figured it out. It was just I was trying to run the file before it was fully downloaded, so it wasn't related to Revit or Windows or anything.
Okay, awesome.
Sorry about that. Thanks.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so we're going to close this file, and you can, if you hit the X here, it's going to close Revit and all the projects. But if you just want to close a project, the easy way to do that is you go to File, Tab, Close. When you do this, the Revit user interface is still there. So I'm returned to the home page. Right? File closes the project. Okay, we're going to open one of the files that ships with Revit. So hit the home page. The home page is the second icon in the upper left side. And then hit the File tab and hover over the Open. Don't click the Open tool. Just move the mouse on top of it. Hover over, and then this is a drop-down menu. Then if you just scroll down to the very bottom, you're going to see the sample files. Again, close the files. If you are in the home page, click on the home, then hit the File tab, hover over Open, scroll down and until you find the sample files. And this is going to give you the list of all the sample files that ship with Revit. Is anyone in here missing the sample files? You can just raise your hand or let me know in the chat. This should be available this should ship with your installation. There are different types of sample files, including some architectural, some MEP, structural. There's some Asian one as well, which is actually a pretty good building. I love it. It's all in Chinese characters, but the way it's organized is like a nice template. There's also one that is a German one, the Golden Nugget. Technique. It's actually a pretty good project, so let's use that one. Do you guys see this file? The BIM project Golden Nugget. Okay, if you're missing, let me know, because I need to share with you the content that is where to download it if you don't have it. All right, project Golden Nugget, and then hit Open. This is a real project that we bought the rights to use it as a demonstration project. And you know how Germans are very detailed in the way they do things. So it has, I think it's an over-the-top way of creating a Revit project. But I like it because it's pretty technical. It's full of details. It has a full documentation. I don't think it's in English. That's the only drawback. But for the purpose of navigating the model, is going to be sufficient. All right, so the project, it's actually a residential project, and it is a very nice example on how to document existing conditions, do retrofits, and work with consultants that are using Revit. I believe this is in a dense area in Hamburg, I think. But I don't want you guys to mess with this file or change it in any way. So we're going to make a copy of this. We're going to save this file in a different location. So go to the File tab and hit Save As. Save as a project. And put it in a different location. So I have in my D drive a folder where I'm going to store these course classes. So you can create a new folder on the fly here. I'm going to call it Revit 23 Fall. And inside this folder, I'm going to place a copy of this. So you don't want to replace the original files.
Does the name need to stay the same, or does it matter if you rename it?
It doesn't matter.
Location?
Yeah, you can name it differently. You can call it Golden Nugget. I think that was the name of the original project.
But there's no issue with how it's linked to other files in it, or is it all one thing?
I think this has two files. I think there's a MEP and an architectural. So let me just double check. If we go to insert, manage links, yes, there is the given DAO technique. I think that is I think I opened the mechanical one. And the mechanical has the architectural loaded. I opened the wrong one, guys. This is the mechanical, the MEP file. So if you save it in a different location, you can keep the same name or call it MEP. Let's open the architectural one. So again, I'm going to close this, go to the Home tab, File, hover over Open, Sample Files. And then the Architektur und Ingenieur. Wow. I think that's the one I needed to. And the other is linked into the other one. And to your question, that's correct. If you rename the file and you repath it, it's going to be shown as a missed link. So maybe for now you keep the name. It's a small project, but it's a relatively large size. That's why it takes some time to open. Here you go. This is the file I was looking for. And I love how the Germans go full extent into this very precise technical details. I love it. Okay, so this is when you open a project, there's a default view that's always present, it's always open by default. And that view, it's set up under the View tab. And there is the default view here somewhere. Is it? Or the manage, maybe on the management. Yeah, if you go to the Manage tab, under the Manage project, there's a tool called Starting View. And then this view, this is a drop-down list that display all the sheets in the project, all the views of the project. But usually the Start view is the place where you put information about the project. And in the context of work sharing, which is working in teams, you want to make sure that every user that opens this file is always looking at the same thing when the file is open. So the starting view is the golden nugget sheet 00. And that's why no matter, I mean, if I save this file in a different view, when you open the file, it's always going to display the starting view. So these are all the different views in the project. Let's navigate through some of them. Let's open the overall views, allgemein. There are some 3D views in isometric. I opened the one called BIM design. So this is like the project in the context of an urban setting. It displays like the masses, mass environment. If you open another one, the Gebäude technique, and I don't know, I know a little bit of German. But if anyone here is versed in German, this displays all the MEP conduits. Let's display another one. That's the last one. So all these different views are looking at isolated elements of the model for different purposes. Like this is how you would do a framing detail in a roof. Now the default view, the default 3D view, it's always, you can always access it via this icon in the upper left corner. This is the default 3D view. This open an isometric in the southeast corner of the project, looking at the end at the project extent. I called it the house in the hill because it's right at the top, right? So when I say open the default 3D view, you should know that you need to go to this little house icon, and it will show you the entire extent of the project. It opens actually the view called 3D in brackets. So it's this last one here. And here's the residential space. Okay, let's talk about some navigation controls here. You can zoom in and out using the mouse wheel, the center mouse wheel. You zoom in, zoom out. When you hover over Revit objects, notice that they pre-highlight in blue. This is the pre-selection. And pre-selections allow you to interrogate what is that is pre-selected before you select it. So if I hover this element, it's displaying in the tooltip 3 pieces of information: the category, the family, and the type. And so this is like a visual way to indicate what is that you want to select. Like this is a roof, this is a window, etc. Now, in a 3D view, and you must memorize this shortcut, you can orbit around it using the following shortcut. Hit the Shift button, and at the same time, press the mouse wheel. And you're going to keep both of them pressed at the same time. And what that's going to do is it's going to place a pivot point at the geometrical center of everything that is visible on the screen. And then if you move the mouse while pressing this, it's going to rotate the model around that pivot point. So let's do it together. Click Shift, press the mouse wheel, and the pivot point is geometrical center of this element, and then you can just rotate the entire building. You can look at from below, above. You keep both things pressed and then move the mouse wheel. This is probably the first shortcut that I teach everyone because it's very useful. And let's do it multiple times. It's going to take some time to make it fast. Then you can zoom in, zoom out, etc. All right. You can also make an object be the pivot point of the rotation. For example, you can select objects by clicking the object on the screen. I'm going to select this the little chimney roof. So when you select that and you do the you do the orbit shortcut, Shift mouse wheel, then the center point of the selection becomes the pivot rotation point. So it's no longer everything about that is the center point that is rotating. Is the center point of the selection that becomes the new center point. And then to deselect, you click escape. And I'm going to write that as well. Escape plus escape. So the first escape cancel the command. And then the second escape cancel the selection. So that's why if I select something on the screen, I'm going to select this roof. You want to deselect it, you just click once. That's deselect. But if I am in the middle of a command, let's say I'm creating a wall, and I want to cancel that command, you need to escape to on place and escape again to cancel the command. I think I have a slide here. Yeah. To cancel a standard command, it's 2 times escape. To deselect an object, it's just 1 time. All right, let's talk about how, let's open other views. If you scroll down, look at the schedules. These are all different types of schedules in the project. Yeah, sure what this schedule is about because I don't know German. But this is quantifying. This is like a summary. I think these are areas. Yeah, these are room name, square foot, volume, cost, and they give you like cost per square foot. So this is like a cost estimate. Let's see other ones here. And so what's happening here is that every object that you place in Revit display information. And that information is can be summarized in the form of a schedule in a tabular display. And you can choose to work in a schedule, or you can choose to work in the model. And so changes in the schedule are reflected in the model. Changes in the model are reflected in the schedule. You add a new door, then the schedule populates with an additional door. You make changes in these properties, and I'm making a change in the geometry. So this is called a bidirectional associativity. Associativity, which means that changes in one place also changes in other place. Changing the schedule changes the property of the object. Changes in elevation changes the 3D and the floor plan. That's bidirectional associativity. And one of the key ingredients of a BIM workflow, the ability to make changes in one place and impact the other ones as well. And so notice also that as I'm opening views, all these views are getting stacked right here. And then it's not a good idea to have too many views open at the same time because they consume RAM memory. Because Revit needs to refresh the content because of the bidirectional associativity. If you make changes in something, it needs to refresh it across all the different views. And that means more RAM to process. And so I advise you to have maybe at the most 4 views open or 3 views open if you want to save, if you want to increase performance in your project. And the way to close everything but the active view is using this button. So in the quick access bar, there's a little icon that has like this little X. And I'm going to make the 3D view, one of the 3D view, the isometric, the active view. This is my active view. You can close views by hitting the X next to the label, but that's a lot of clicks, right? If you don't want to do that, just go to the close hidden views. And that icon is going to close every view in the project except the active one. So if in the process of modeling you have too many things open, just go here, and then you're left with just one view. That makes sense?
Are there hotkeys for such?
Hotkeys like shortcuts?
Yeah. Or
Yeah, yes, they are. And the shortcuts are the shortcuts are displayed in the help file of every tool. You see, for example, wall, it's WA, door is DR. Now, if you were asking about close inactive views, there isn't one by default, but that doesn't mean we can assign one. When you hover over the tool, it tells you sometimes it discloses what the shortcut is sometimes. Now, in the topic of shortcuts, if you want to have the full list of shortcuts, those are accessible under the options tool. So you go to the file tab, hit the options tool, and then go to the user, go to the, where is it? User interface and the keyboard shortcut. If you hit customize, you should see that this is the list of all the commands in Revit, and this is the out-of-the-box shortcuts. So sometimes the installation skip the default shortcut. So if you open this and you see, if there's nothing on the shortcuts, please let me know, because I can export my shortcuts and send it over. Sometimes.
Yeah, can you share it? Mine are missing.
Okay. Anybody else missing it? Because this is important. So probably when you were doing the property windows, it wasn't coming up. Like to open the property window, this is where it's listed, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I was going to export them from my 2022 for myself. But if you want to send me these, that's fine too.
Okay, I just exported, and you know what? I'm going to put it on Google Drive so that it's available for everyone.
Thanks.
I'm going to do it now, so very quickly. Revit 3. Oh. It's an XML file. I'm going to put it in Google Drive. Revit. Revit Fall 2023. I'm just going to create a, oh, here is the shortcuts. I already have it there. There's one already in the Google Drive. So in Google Drive, if you go to Revit Fall 2023 shortcuts, is the XML file that is there. And all you need to do, if you're missing the shortcuts, is to hit the import key and then navigate to the XML file and hit open. And then all the column that says shortcut will be populated for you.
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And so you want to know, like, for example, the close inactive views didn't have a shortcut, but you can assign it here. So I just type close inactive views. Here it is. Doesn't have any shortcut out of the box. You can say, okay, what if I type CI or CI on the fly and assign it? And then that is my new shortcut for close inactive views. And so if there are some shortcuts that work for you better than others, by all means, you can customize it. It's a matter of custom preference. For example, copy. The other thing, you can have multiple shortcuts for one command. So when you copy something, you can type CO on the fly or CC. Another one that is useful is move. So move is MV, but you can just give it one letter. It's just M, and then M is going to activate the move command. You can also use combination of Shift, Control, or Alt in your shortcuts as well. Some people that like have worked in AutoCAD and they want to like have a similar shortcut in Revit, you can actually map it there.
Yep, you read my mind. It's hard to let go of all those shortcuts.
Yes. Although there's not an equivalency in the capabilities, but there are some, at least on the modifier, there's like move, extend, trim, all that is the same operation in AutoCAD that it is in Revit. Okay, so let me quickly talk about the family, category, family, and type, and then we're going to break here. The Revit organizes building elements. We don't call it geometries, we call them building elements. There are 3 buckets of element information. You have model elements, datum elements, and view-specific elements. This deck, by the way, it's on the Google Drive. It's in the main folder. So if you want this, you can just download from there. So model elements, there are 2 types. You have host and model components. The hosts are also called system families. And the model components are just the loadable components. And there's a big difference. So model elements here is everything that has a geometrical representation. And any system representation of a building is a model element. You have loadable components, which are files with the extension .rfa, which are brought from a library of components, and it's loaded into the projects. An example of those are doors, windows, furniture, light fixtures, mechanical equipment, stairs, windows, everything that is saved in a format RFA. But then usually these loadable components are manufactured elements that have a fixed, that are unitized, and you can count them easily. On the other hand, you have host components that are also called system families. And please remember this, because this is Revit 101. System families cannot be shared between projects. An example of system families are the walls, the floors, the roof, the ceilings. So think of them as elements that you build on site that are not unitized, that has very unique boundary conditions that are project specific and specific to a room. And so because system families changes in the way they are represented, every wall in a project has a different shape, right? And so you cannot share it as a component with other models. You can copy paste them, but you cannot save it as an external file, right? And so host and system families are walls, floor, roof, ceilings. Loadable components are files with the extension RFA. Those are window, doors, furniture, etc. Then the other elements are work planes. So datum elements are, think of this as work planes that intersect the building in the horizontal and the vertical. So the grids are actually a work plane that define the location of columns. And a grid is not, unlike the AutoCAD line, it's actually a plane. It's a plane that overlap all the different levels, and it's associated with a location of vertical structural elements. The levels are actually work planes that define the top surface of a floor. And then reference planes are construction work planes that are used to align, snap, or define the extent of certain system families. And so datum elements, think of this as a reference work plane that help a user create Revit geometry. And then we have something called view-specific elements. And think of view-specific elements as you think of paper space in AutoCAD. So these are elements that are pasted on top of a view to describe the contents of a view. It's not three-dimensional geometry, but it's everything that is annotation. So that includes text nodes, tags, symbols, dimensions. For example, dimension, when you dimension something in Revit, the dimension is only visible in a particular view. Like you don't, when you swap to a different view, the dimension is not going to be there. So that's why they are called view-specific elements. They only live in the view in which they are placed. Annotation elements include all of this. And then you have also detail view-specific elements. When we talk about details, I'm going to talk more about that. But when you create a detail in Revit, part of the object displayed in the view are coming from the 3D object. And then, but not, we don't model everything that not involved in Revit. Is not first, is not, Revit wasn't built to capture every single detail, every single ball and nut. And so there is a need to still represent design intent with some detail-specific objects. And so two-dimensional components are view-specific. Additional detail line to enhance the graphic quality of a detail. Those are view-specific objects. They only live in a single view. All right, so these are the building elements in Revit. And then the other concept that I want you to understand, remember before the end of the class, is this concept of category, family, and type. The way content is organized in Revit follows these three tiers of information. A category is a set of properties that are similar. For in example, columns is a category. All columns have a common set of properties. They have a base point, a top point. They have a height. They transfer analytical weight right at the center of it. So all the parameters that are common to columns is called a category. In Revit, categories are given to us. You don't create categories. Categories are, there's about 300 categories in Revit, and you're going to memorize them slowly as you learn them. And then we have families. Families are a collection of elements that have not only the same properties, but they also have the same physical representation. For example, round columns are always going to be round, right? And then graphically, I'll always be represented like a circle. Rectangular columns are always going to display in plan as a rectangle. And then families is a collection of objects with the same physical representation and the same properties. And then a type, it's just a member of a family. It's an instance with a specific value. For example, round columns that are 6 inches, that's one type. 8 inches, that's another type. 9 inches, another type. A foot is another inch. And so the collection of the collection of all these different types is what makes a family. Does that make sense? And so in Revit, when you hover over an object, Revit is going to disclose those 3 pieces of information: the category, the family, and the type. So in this particular example, I mean, I hover over in this floor. And so this piece of information in the tooltip, that is the category. The second one, separated by a column, is the family. And the third one is the type. Category, family, and type. And that's the way the content in Revit is organized. And so this is the category of floors, family floors, and the name of the floor is Overton 650. So in the project browser, when you look at the family tree, that's the way the families, the content in Revit is organized. These are all the different categories in Revit. So when I click floors, this is the category of floor. This is the family of floor. And I was looking at the Overton 220. These are all the different floor types in the project. And they all belong to the family of floors, and they all belong to the category of floors. That makes sense? Let's look at the doors, for example. Doors. These are all the door families in the project. Tour, that's how it's called, doors in German. I think that's why it starts with TU, tour. Again, same thing. This is the category. This is the family. And then this is the type. And that's the pattern. When I am looking at a model and I hover in something, that's the type of information the tooltip is going to disclose. But notice that the information is disclosed in the tooltip, and it's also disclosed right here in the lower left corner. So 2 different ways to find what's the information, what is the element that you're hovering over that you want to explore. Let's say this floor here, that is floor FB 230 terrace. And if I go to the project browser under the floors, that's where you find that terrace. Okay, it's 7:20. I think I reached the end of the class. Next class, I'm going to talk more. The thing I did not teach you is selections and isolations. So next class, I'm going to show you, if you want to like understand, if you want to focus on understanding what are the different elements in the project, you can isolate it by category. Like here, I just isolated the walls in the project, and then you can focus on understanding how the walls work. Or you can also isolate an element and edit it in a 3D context. Say, for example, you want to just focus on this facade here. and you want to understand both the interior and the exteriors of that, then I isolate the element, and you can just explore and edit, understand how that particular exterior envelope was put together, and then reset temperature. I'm going to talk more about this next class. We're going to use the same data sets. For now, make sure you save it. You save this file. Don't rename it. Just save it in a different location. And we'll continue exploring navigation and selection controls. And probably mid the class next time, I'm going to start with a brand new project. We're not going to design a project as sophisticated as this one, but we're going to do a very simple data set that enable me to discuss a lot of the details on the commands. So save this in a folder that you can retrieve next time. And yeah, I'll see you next Monday. I'm going to be in New York on Monday. I'm going to try to find a place to work from there. Yeah, I'll see you guys next class. If you need me to give you some time, please stay online. I'm happy to respond questions one-on-one. Otherwise, have a good rest of the week and good weekend. See you Monday.
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Much.
you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just stop this
Thank
recording.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.